We are, because Bill's messing this thing up. So we don't even know that we're live. Welcome to Market Call. It is Thursday.
Way to go, Bill.
February 5th.
I'm going to get right up in his ass right now. First, let me straighten my tie. Market Call, Thursday, Feb 6th, a little after 1. Bill impaling himself. It's a great-looking camera shot.
By the way, you'd think at this point Bill would have this sort of stuff down. He's been with us for like 13 months.
No, Bill's first of all, Bill is great. Playing tonight, where are you playing?
Broadway. Bill's
Broadway.
Fine. Bill's fine.
So if it's not still icing out, you should go and see Bill.
You know, I had somebody who I had a meeting with at 9 a.m. without using a name, and he emailed me at like 7:30 this morning. He said, I don't know. He said to me, "I will still be seeing you at 9 despite the wintry mix."
It is a wintry mix.
I know, but
out by me, it's a wintry mix.
Unless you are, a weatherman, like using that term, a wintry mix seems odd to me.
No, I don't know. It's fair because it's a mix of ice and snow and rain. So it is in fact a wintry mix.
Yeah. All right.
We have a mixed bag here in the market.
I saw what you did there. You know what, Guy? We're going to hit a really important earnings number after the close.
I know Amanda's.
We're going to take a look at what are some of the knock-on effects. What are some of the knock-on effects with rates being lower here? We're going to look at the E-minis, the S&P 500 E-minis. We're going to look at the NASDAQ 100 E-minis. We're going to look at the dollar.
Sure we are.
We're going to look at some healthcare stocks that are moving. We are going to look at, what else are we going to look at?
Well, I mean, as you said, the banks, I mean, rates are a story. We're going to preview a little earnings tonight.
Yeah.
We have a lot to look at. But that's the first thing we should do, since it's a CME day. Let's take a look at the E-mini futures S&P, which, this uptrend is intact. There's your 200-day moving average. We traded down to it in August. We didn't get that close in December. You could say we're at a little bit of a downtrend here if you want to play that game. But
so let's talk about that really quickly. If you want to isolate that last little flag, some folks would call that a flag, right?
Yeah,
the thing that we're moving. But if you look at a series, and this is slight, people, a series of lower highs. Oh, look at that. Amanda's all over this thing. And a series of lower lows. It's interesting, guys. Those two lows, they were big down days. There were big volume days, and they reversed and they closed well off the lows of the day. And normally you would say you'd expect some follow through. We got a little follow through on each one of those, but it wasn't, they didn't make new highs. And you know what's funny? Go back to that December 18th day, big volume day, closed on the lows, hung around the lows, but we never made a new high there either. Is that showing, and I've bet our main man Doug Cass is all over this thing, is that showing waning upside momentum?
That's what I would think, but you get one. It's funny. Yeah, I would agree with you. You get one good day tomorrow on the back of a jobs report, which maybe is disappointing, which means rates go down, which means people get excited, and we're right back up to all-time highs. Now, I am not one of those people, by the way, but I've seen this movie enough times to know that, it's amazing. You feel like you have these huge down days, then you wake up and the market's still within less than 1% of an all-time high. It is pretty remarkable. But to your point, I think there's something to be sort of gleaned from this that, maybe the rallies are getting a little more sort of robust.
Yeah.
Like that?
Little less robust.
Little less robust.
It seems like the upside momentum is waning a little bit. And when you look at this chart and you say to yourself, that 200-day moving average, what is that, 5,700-ish or something like that? That'd be pretty nice little pullback and take some of the froth out of the market. And you know what, like this earnings season, I don't know why it felt like it's been going on for like months,
forever.
Right,
and it's interesting because we were actually on John Butter's FactSet podcast
earnings.
So we had you call it something.
The earnings insight.
No. Like when this is like one of those other things. No. This is one of those other things that
home and away.
Home and away, yeah. Home and it's like, oh my
home
God.
And home and away.
Want to do a home and away? It's like golfers say that. Let's do a home and away. I'll play at your track.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe
Guy's not a golfer here.
I'll play at your that's a great track.
Yeah.
And then you come play at mine and we'll have some brewskis on the 19th hole. It's like, shut the F up. Anyway, I don't know how I got onto that, but people do say that.
So we were on John Butter's earnings insight.
Let's have some brewskis right after our round.
And we were tracking some of the data.
No, but my point is John said that this quarter is prolonged given the calendar.
Oh yeah, he did say
if
that.
you recall.
Okay, that was a long way of getting into that. We started
That's
off.
why my mind works.
We started off, I think it was like Jan 12 with the bank stocks, right? And they got out of the gates. We had some really big moves. It's interesting that today, and we'll get back to the NASDAQ in a second when we start looking at some of the NASDAQ names here. Let's pull up yields for a second here. So we've had this move from 4.8% in the 10-year, and we've gone down to 443 or so. And one of the things that I would have thought, Guy, with this sort of like almost 40 basis point move lower, that you would have the S&P 500 breaking out to new highs, and we're not far from there. So it's interesting to see like waning upside momentum, but you're seeing downside momentum pick up in yields. You see that 200-day moving average at 4.25. And I guess the headlines today that Bessent, he's Treasury Secretary Bessent, they're targeting, or they're more interested in lower 10-year yields and not, disregarding the Fed funds rate. How does that happen?
It happens. Well, so this is a yields chart.
Yep.
Now, if Amanda can quickly go to a TLT chart, I know this is a CME day, but I wanted to show you something.
Yeah.
That would appear as though we're breaking an uptrend, which means yields are going lower. If she were to put a TLT chart up, which is the inverse of this, my God, did Amanda just do that? Really?
So you think it's going to be rejected?
So we are what appears to be a breakdown on the other chart. This chart, TLT, appears to be right at a downtrend line. So if we were to fail here, which, by the way, I think we will, it means that yields start heading higher. But to answer your question, what makes 10-year yields go lower? A slowing economy. What does this administration not want?
A slowing economy.
Thank you. Your answer. So that's really, that to me is the only way it happens, because the Treasury, the Fed, politicians, administrations, have nothing to do with where anything outside of short-term yields go.
I know I just said the only way that happens, or I was responding to your point, is a slowing economy. I actually disagree with that.
Okay.
So let's just think about it this way. So when Fed funds futures were pricing in, I want to say a year ago,
6 rate cuts.
That was because it wasn't because they were expecting a slowing economy.
No.
They were expecting that the rate increases that happened in 2022 and 2023 did what it wanted to do, cool down the economy. Okay, well, that's the same as slowing down the economy. Right. But what I'm saying is, your scenario where yields would come down would be a reaction to a weakening economy. Like slowing means they're just taking some of the fire out of the strength, right? Mm-hmm. Is it semantics or no? Ish?
I know I understand your point. They also thought they could cut to that level, or the market did, because they were winning the war on inflation.
Right.
Which they're not winning.
Well, that's my point. That was the soft landing scenario, right? And so what you're suggesting is this would be, a hard-ish landing scenario, because they were never able to cut the rates for the reasons that they wanted to cut. Is that fair?
I think that's one. And I'm not saying that will be the outcome. I think that is a possible outcome. So in other words, if yields were to go lower from here, it would be, in my world, predicated on an economy that's slowing down in a meaningful way.
All right, so let's play it out a little bit. If yields come in, if the dollar comes in, and we're going to hit crude oil in a second here, and you have some of these inflationary sorts of inputs, if they come in a way that seems like pretty good for an economy, like when I don't hear too many economists, and we have a ton of them come on Fast Money. They're all day long on CNBC. We have a lot of great strategists come on here.
By the way, Lori Calvasina will be here in a few hours
on the Risk Reversal podcast that will drop where? It'll
drop at your favorite podcast store. So if you're golfing right now with your homies and having some brewskis on your buddy's track, be sure to go to your favorite podcast store on the ride home in your Uber.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that would be RBC Capital's head of equity.
I love Lori Calvas. Anyway,
no, she's great.
Apologize.
But what I'm saying is, rarely have we heard too many strategists saying that they're like looking for any sort of hard landing.
No, I agree with that.
So a lot of folks are saying that the economy is strong, and even with a jobs number that's coming out tomorrow expected to be up 170, down from 256, which is a huge upside surprise. Maybe there was some seasonal stuff in there, right? But even 170, I think the average guy, pre-pandemic was right about that level.
Steve Leisman will say, anything north of 150 historically, you'll sign up for that. The unemployment rate's supposed to stay at 4.1%. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned, that last employment report might have been sort of the crescendo of the prior administration, whatever. What is clearly happening, though, is there have been people are taking buyouts. There will be layoffs in the government.
Yeah.
We'll see how that impacts everything. So there's a lot of, and that's not, I mean, that's just factually true.
So, all right, let's play that out a second. So if, you only have to respond or hit reply to an email that says resign and you get a payment package, that's what they've done. The Doge.
8 months.
Yeah. So
the Doge.
If you are in that camp and you've been a civil servant for years, right? And take it to the bank, this is the job. They don't really fire people unless you're doing something horribly wrong. And let's just say you're getting 8 months of severance. You're not going on a cruise.
No.
You're not upgrading your kitchen with that money. You're not doing, if anything, you're becoming more cautious about your spending, right? So that's something. And then let's play this other thing out as it relates to AI spending. Now, we've seen CapEx get dialed up by a bunch of these companies. It is driving a lot of spending in the economy, right? If you have expected $200 billion in CapEx being spent, let's say by 4 companies right now, that's what they've guided to, maybe more.
I think it's a little more. It's 75. It's probably closer to 3, but
80 for Microsoft, 75 for Google, 65 minimum for Facebook. XAI is spending a lot.
So
there's probably some others, IBM, Oracle, Stargate. I mean, OpenAI. The list goes on and on. If you see a slowing of the economy, that's going to slow employment growth. You're going to see companies, as they did in 2022 and 23. Remember, Meta had the year of rationalization or
year of efficiency, they called it, right?
Well, tens of thousands of high-paying jobs got cut. So I guess I can see it both ways, is what I'm saying. But I just don't think that to be very likely at the moment.
Fair, all excellent points. And again, that's what people are sort of struggling with. I think that's why the rate picture, to your point, is so muddled right here. And you can make an argument. My argument is higher for a lot of reasons, but I respect the lower argument for the opposite reasons. It could very well come to fruition. So we'll see how it plays out. But lower rates for the wrong reasons, to me, is not necessarily a good thing for the economy or the stock market, for that matter. So let us continue, because as you mentioned, crude oil, which, again, just when you think, and I've learned my lesson from you now enough times where every time it appears as though we're about to break out, I've said it the last time, I'm like, I've seen this movie before. We're probably going to back and fill into the mid to low 70s, and here we are.
Yeah. So what's interesting to me, Guy, about crude right here, and again, you can kind of see a series of lower highs for the most part. The big spikes that we've seen, maybe not the one in October into November, and that was post-election, and that kind of gave it up pretty quickly. But could you see this thing back towards that 67.5? You and I played it from the long side via futures a handful of times down there. You got some good little trades, but you had to be kind of nimble. You had to actually have stops to the downside. Maybe at some point it's going to break that 66 level. Who knows what the scenario is as far as, like the situation in the Middle East. Iran has been neutered for all intents and purposes. The situation in Gaza,
painful.
Well, the situation in Gaza, hasn't, in Israel, hasn't gotten that much better when you consider the fact that, some of the comments that we've just heard recently from President Trump. But I could see a lot of ways that you could see upward pressure for the right reasons. Okay. So if the China tariff situation, the trade war, gets dialed up, I would expect another bout of stimulus from the Chinese. Does that make some sense to you?
To me.
And so then you have maybe that coupled with stuff in the Middle East, maybe not being so cool as it's been or whatever. And all of a sudden you get a situation where, you have crude heading back towards those recent highs just below 80. Does that make some sense to you?
It does. And again, I think we've come off enough in an environment that hasn't changed all that markedly in terms of why it was higher, where you could probably play this from the long side right now.
Yeah. So let's just kind of look at some levels. I think you and I were talking about this earlier. If you're looking to play via the futures and you're looking for a bounce, pops will be back towards that initial stop in and around, or to the upside target, that kind of, if you're buying it here at 71 1/4, you're kind of looking for 75-ish. I think we have some wrong numbers on there. Don't worry about it, man.
Initial target is 75.
Yeah. So we'll just pick that. Watch this. She's going to try to fix it right here. It's pretty good.
She's good.
So we have Bill doing what the Bill things, when we're starting out. And then we have Amanda, who is Johnny on the spot. She makes so
By the
few
way,
mistakes.
I'm drinking, as she does it, I'm drinking this lovely, by the way, this is not a sponsor, but Raspberry Lime by Spindrift.
Yeah, and look what I have. I have, something
LaCroix.
from the LaCroix. I have the Berry LaCroix. Again, not a sponsor, although if you'd like to sponsor Market Call, give us a ring. We'll give you guys
Real
information.
fruit tastes better.
Yeah. All right. So let's look at this crude oil again, because this is going to be really interesting. So, Guy, we've talked about these series of lower highs. We've talked about that sort of support level in and around 66, 67. Trading right now at 71.25. It looks a little overdone coming down from 79.
Mm-hmm.
You look at that 200-day moving average is right below that initial target of 75. But I think most importantly, and you kind of identified this stop level, that's 70. You want to keep stops really tight here, because if you miss it to the downside at 70, you'll probably have a move back towards 67.5. So that makes some sense. So initial target 75, and the next target where you'd be moving up your stops. You know what I mean? You're looking at $80.
So you're looking at 3.5 to 1, 3.25 to 1 risk reward ish. And I think the likelihood here of having a successful trade, to me, is probably 50-50. So coin flip, if you're going to be writing 3.5 to 1 risk reward, you do that every single day.
Yeah. And so let's just talk a little bit about the dollar crude relationship for a second here, because, we've seen the dollar come off. You've seen crude come off. Normally you might see a sort of inverse relationship, but we've kind of seen this in a lot of these traditional pairs. Let's pull up gold for a second, because this is one, it's not a pair. What are you doing? You're laughing at something.
No, because Bill, you got to help me out here. So somebody just said, people are struggling watching you bozos. Who is that from? Is that one of your buddies?
I think it's probably Amanda. Amanda has like a burner account.
No, listen. Yes, some days it's a struggle. I mean, the weather sucks. Okay, my effing back hurts. It took forever to get in here. The driver wanted to talk about the effing Super Bowl the whole way here. I don't give a shit. Okay, I don't want to hear about the third string tight end. It's going to be a factor for the Eagles. It's not interesting to me. Okay, so yeah, if you're struggling watching, I'm struggling too, pal. Sorry, Dan.
You got a long day too, so we have.
No, I just, I mean,
you and I did the risk version.
Every day can't be Simpastora. Do you know this?
That's Italian. For
no, it's actually not.
Is it? No, that's got to be Latin.
No, it's not. Listen, Doug Cass, you're watching. Doug, send it to Dan. Every day.
You know what? You know who called us bozos? Probably
Doug Cass.
Yeah, it probably was Doug. Doug is a very serious man, but he's got this amazing recall of pop culture, which you do too. But actually, he picks up things that you sometimes forget. You know what I mean?
I don't forget.
All right, let's talk about gold here for a second. So we were just talking about the crude relationship versus the dollar, and you've talked about gold. Dollar goes up, gold goes up. Dollar goes down, gold goes up, right? So here it is. It broke out. What I like about the breakout here, Guy, is Amanda wants to draw that horizontal line. It broke out on a little bit of a gap. And gap, on good volume, that's kind of a bullish sort of thing right there, right? So you've been in the camp that you buy the breakout here. Listen, I like to play for a breakout before it breaks out. You like to play for the momentum after it breaks out. You've also been saying that gold, and I'm just going to paraphrase you, is going to be a thing at some point, right? So you've had some data. Throw us through some of the data about central banks.
In the fourth quarter of last year, so the quarter that encompassed the election, the Chinese bought 54% more gold year over year in terms of their stockpiling.
Right.
Now, you can say why. The reasons don't necessarily matter. Maybe it was the election results. I have no idea. But now for the last 3 years, central banks have actually bought, and building upon sort of north of 1,000 tons per year, which is historic. They don't seem to abate. China, Turkey, a lot of different countries. We've talked about that. What do they see? What are they hedging? And I've said this, and I actually believe it to be true. I think they're hedging their own ineptitude. I think they realize what they've done, and the only true hedge, it's not cryptocurrency, it's gold. And I think you're seeing that vis-a-vis the central bank buying. And at a certain point, you're going to manifest it into price, not in the moves that we're seeing day to day, in moves we probably haven't seen before. Now, Edward Morgan, if you want to throw this question up, he said, okay, guys, so what will happen to gold and silver if TLT breaks down? If TLT breaks down, that means yields are going higher. Historically, in that type of environment, higher yields are a headwind for gold. Totally get it. Maybe they will be a headwind again, so maybe it will slow down the move. But Edward knows while yields were going higher, gold was going higher as well. So my point all along has been gold has been working in environments historically it has not worked in.
That was the point I was trying to make. You just did it a lot more succinctly.
And I'm going to
let's pull
by the way, Jacob, everybody's in the pool right now. You know that expression, everybody in the pool?
Yeah.
Jacob said we should have a Bill cam so we can videotape Bill.
No, you know what would be great? If Bill could just get our cams correct and we could do
That's
the show
right.
properly.
We're doing
Wait,
the
by
show
the way,
properly.
did you see the video I sent you guys last night? Sarah Eisen posted it, and so it was her. Miles just getting
Miles.
in the camera.
Did you see that? Miles got in the shot.
So funny.
Miles, and this is what do they call when you break the fourth wall? I'm sorry,
it's called
Amanda.
breaking the fourth wall.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But Miles works with us at the NASDAQ.
Correct.
I love Miles. If he was standing here, I would be saying this.
Yeah.
Weird as shit. But he's fantastic. He's
Bill,
so freaking quirky.
wait,
what?
He's not.
What am I saying that's wrong?
We're gonna dox him on his so his one of his big hobbies, other than
he reads.
No.
Bill?
No, Bill, whatever.
Oh, Miles.
Miles.
He's like a bird watcher or something.
Bang. He's a bird watcher. And which is I've never heard of a bird
I watched
I've never heard of a bird watcher below the age of 70. Let's just say
I'm below the age of 70
All right.
still.
It's
very relaxing.
Let's bring you just mentioned nerd gold. That would be the Bitcoin.
Hold on. I did not use that term.
I call it that. You called it the crypto.
Yeah.
Let's pull up the CME Bitcoin futures here. And this is really interesting going back to 2017. You know enough to be dangerous, in the crypto right now. Back in 2017, we had this crazy move higher, right? And it was interesting. It was retail led. And there it is. If you want to go back a little further there. The CME issued futures. They were the first, futures, I think, globally, which was really interesting to me at the time, Guy, because it marked the top of Bitcoin. But that didn't matter as it related to the futures. The futures became a great hedging tool.
100%.
And you can look at the volatility bands, how they got widened, in all those other, frenzies or whatever. But it's funny because oftentimes you hear that expression, oh, this IPO rang the bell, this or whatever. But when a futures exchange like the CME issues a futures or launches a futures, it gives you a lot of, optionality, I guess. If you're an investor, you're a trader, that sort of thing, for hedging purposes, for speculative purposes, you can start using stops and the like. And back then, if you were trading actual Bitcoin, it was really hard to put stops in via Coinbase or Binance or something like that. And there were huge spreads and there was a lot of overnight volatility, that sort of thing. So it's kind of funny that the futures work. Now let's make it a 1 year, Guy.
All right, stop for a second. Yeah. And this is not me waxing poetic, but
wax poetic.
I think people are going to realize, I think the market is starting to realize that futures could be their own asset class. And, and this is not a shameless plug, but I'll say it. They're typically way ahead of the curve. And as the retail trader gets more advanced, I think they will learn that, wait a second. These futures are an asset class the same way we talk about other asset classes, and they can be used in different ways. With that said, quickly, if Amanda can sort of go to that little gap in the chart from November, which coincided with the election, I think we all can see that. That probably comes in somewhere around like 75,000 or so-ish. Is that right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit higher. Here's what's happening in Bitcoin, and please push back. MicroStrategy, now Strategy, has been buying Bitcoin pretty much on a weekly basis. I think they're up to almost 500,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet with an average price roughly about 65,000. It works, and it's been working because Bitcoin has been going higher. But there's a scenario where they continue to buy, but for whatever reason, Bitcoin starts to do this back and fill in that gap. As they buy Strategy, their average price gets higher. If the trading price goes lower, and if it somehow meets in the middle, and let's just say 75, a lot of strange things are going to start to happen. If, in fact, the average price of their balance sheet holdings is the same price as the underlying asset, then that leverage that worked for them might flip. And that could be obviously problematic, but that might also be a trigger for the broader market as well. So if it starts to happen, we'll talk more about it.
All right. So I just went to the Perplexity, Guy. And as of January 13th, which is obviously nearly a month ago, 450,000 Bitcoin purchased at an average price of basically 62,700.
So I think that's up a little since then.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty close.
Yeah. And so I think we read this the other day that last week was the first week in 12 that they did not buy Bitcoin. So I think that's kind of worth noting.
I didn't see. I missed that.
So again, so this chart, you look at this thing, it's holding on for dear life. It's actually lost a lot of upward momentum. One of the things why it gapped the way it did in November, obviously the prospect of deregulation and the like. And then there was this other leg higher where there was some, I don't know, some talk of a Bitcoin reserve that the government would do. If they come out and the Treasury Secretary says that's not happening, they were also talking recently about a sovereign wealth fund, which kind of fits in that sort of category. And they said they're not likely to do it. I think you do get towards the bottom end of that range, Guy, about 80,000 or so. And again, a lot of Bitcoiners tell you that's fine because it gives them the opportunity to buy more, except MicroStrategy might be a problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
But look at that long consolidation it had. And then, you have that breakout.
All fair points.
Yeah.
We have a question.
Yeah.
I guarantee you don't know the answer to this.
Me or you?
You.
Okay.
Who sang the song Someday, Some Way?
No idea.
Someday, Some Way. No?
Sing it.
I don't want to sing it.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that.
Yeah.
Although it's funny you say that because about
it's definitely a late 70s song. How's that?
80s.
Yeah.
I was here last week, I think.
Yeah.
And I started singing Train
Yeah.
by Blackfoot.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
And Bill was here, and he's like, I could see it in his face. He wouldn't give me the satisfaction.
No one's giving you a mic.
But he's like, that
soon.
that mofo can sing. Anyway, that would be Marshall Crenshaw. You're like, okay, I've never heard of him.
Never heard of Marshall.
Amanda, throw this question up from his brother John Crenshaw, and I say this because this is right up your alley. You want me to read it to you?
Sure.
Hey guys, how is Tesla not down 20 points a day every day until it hits 100? Declining margins, declining sales, declining deliverables, declining revenue, declining profit. You were talking earlier today about the German numbers.
Oh, man.
And again, if it's just on the back of auto sales, it should be a lot lower. Obviously, there's some hopium involved as well. By the way, quickly, the move since the election, stock was trading 200-ish, traded up to 500-ish. So 350-ish is the 50% retracement of this entire move. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, just purely technical. And again, the things that this is trading off are not fundamental, right? So we can be clear on that. So a lot of traders, they like trading it because of the momentum. So they can use 0 days to expiration options. They can, like this stock at this price is really hard to short, right? If you're a retail trader, I think a lot of institutions have probably stepped away if you're a hedge fund, that sort of thing, because it just doesn't trade on the things that you generally buy and sell things for, right? So to your point, you had that precipitous rise in the stock. I mean, nearly parabolic, gaining hundreds of billions of dollars of market cap. And now the reasons to own it are probably waning. So the number in Germany last month down 60% year over year. 1,277 new Teslas were registered in Germany. UK, France, all down, I don't know, 60% or something like that. If we're going to basically threaten our allies in Europe about 20, tariffs or whatever, at some point their citizens are going to say, we're not going to buy your cars. And then the other thing is, when you think about Tesla, all the cars, or most of the cars that get sold into Europe, come from the Shanghai plant in China. And so they already have, some stiff tariffs on EVs coming from China. So again, these cars are probably somewhat unaffordable as it relates to, relative to some other cars. So again, I agree. I think there's probably a really good chance, Guy, it gets back towards that flag that was probably, I don't know, 325. Does that make some sense or so? And then we'll see what happens, because the margins, as you said, the deliveries, I mean, the list goes on and on. This stock, the fundamentals are not good right now.
No, I agree with that. And this is, I shouldn't even say this, but I will, because
we're off the rails already.
Well, no, we're not really. But I see these Tesla trucks. First of all, it's the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
Just hideous looking.
Yeah.
And I can't help this, like a Pavlovian response. But if I see those, I immediately say, first of all, it's got to be a dude.
Yeah.
And there's got to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, right or wrong?
100%.
Is that bad? Is that wrong of me to say?
No,
Bill,
no.
what do you feel about that? Is that,
think about
right?
Think about what would motivate you
I don't know.
to buy that call.
I don't know.
I got side eye from, and this is, you always say this is not a political statement. I was on Fast Money and I called it a DePlorian. So pull up
a DePlorian.
Jacob, pull up
Well,
a
it looks
picture
like
of a DeLorean.
those were, by the way, shitty cars.
Well, that's the point. This car it is such a hunk of junk. I mean, really, just read any review. There is not a single positive review about its build, about the way it drives, about the way when it crashes, like this sort of thing. So obviously, I don't believe in the deplorable, that comment from 2016.
No.
I don't believe in that whatsoever. All right, so it was also in Back to the Future. That was a real car.
Yeah. I drove one of those for fast money.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
They had like whatever the anniversary of the movie was, and they had a DeLorean in Times Square, and I got it.
You know what's so funny? I took a picture. It was in the West Village. I want to say like 6 or 7 years ago. Was that probably when it was?
Pre-COVID,
I took a picture of it. It was actually pretty cool, and it actually drove. So the nickname on the line is, some people were calling this a DePlorian. That's
I see.
See the connection.
I'm
not saying that. I call it a Magamobile because I think those are the only people.
Okay. That's probably just as insulting.
No, why is it insulting? If you are a massive supporter of the current president, you wear MAGA on your hat. They love it, man. So I actually think that the sales of the Model S and the Model X, those are the two highest end, they have become, you ready for this? 5% of the sales of Tesla. So it's the Model 3 and it's the Model Y. These are the lower end sort of cars, are doing all the sales. Now, the margins have been hard there. They're trying to get those price point down to $25,000. If they do that, it's just the margin goes lower. It just doesn't go higher right now. And I'll just say this, a friend of mine who was on a wait list, just needed $100 deposit to get on the wait list for the Cybertruck. This was, a couple years ago.
And a friend of yours did that?
It's a friend of yours too, but I'm not doxing him. So the point is that he keeps getting offers. They keep lowering the price. They keep throwing other incentives in, they have a lot of inventory of these things.
I understand.
They're not selling
but
them.
You said it's a he?
Yeah.
He signed up for a wait list to buy.
It didn't matter. If people put $100 deposit down on it,
It's still okay. You tell me offline. Okay, that's that. You know what's breaking out today?
What's that?
The banks.
Oh, yeah.
Amanda put up a nice little graphic. Now, again, I want to be crystal freaking clear here. Yeah. I have not been some lover of the banks. There has
there's one bank on the top of that thing.
And that would be the Citi. Now, I think today's Citi is within whisper of a 52-week high-ish. And what I have said for a long time now, and Citi just reported on January 15th, their tangible book, as reported, was basically, I'll round it up to $90. It was $89.34. But what I've said for a while is, although I don't think it's going to enjoy the same price-to-book valuation that JP Morgan gets, it's not going to get close.
Yeah,
it should trade at tangible book at some point. And I've been saying that since it was like a $55, $60 stock. Here we are at 82. So I still think there's room to the upside. It does not mean that Citi is fixed. I want to be clear. But it just means it's a valuation thing. Catch up.
So we're having a lot of snafus on today's program.
What happened?
Because this graphic, you can't have the stock symbol, the name of the company, percent change, and year-to-date change. And I know somebody, whoever made this graphic, is going to say to me, well, I asked you. You have to have the price of the stock there.
Well, I mean, are you doxing Amanda right now?
No.
Who are you doxing?
I think she had like a generative AI. She has an agent do this stuff, like a AI agent. So this is
it's funny. We get this is
computing.
Man, Amanda. Is there some like Mercury retrograde today?
I don't even know
because something is really. We go on Zoom calls with Amanda.
Yeah.
Often enough, and there's something called Amanda's note taker.
Oh yeah,
but
I don't like it.
No, but that's some AI thing, right? Like,
yeah. Well, it's basically.
Hold on,
they've had this.
No.
So basically, it's a program that basically you turn on. It's in conjunction with your Zoom. It's basically taking a recording, and it's taking the recording and it can put it into text. So it's just for, that's look at Guy.
Oh, look at Amanda.
Will they throw that up, please?
I told you I did it.
All right,
Jacob can put.
Guy, let's go back to the banks for a second here because I think this is important. So banks making new 52-week highs in some cases, like JP Morgan and some of the others making all-time highs. You say to yourself, that is not a sign of a weakening economy, right?
No, I'll tell you what's a sign of. I mean, it's people getting all geeked up. I mean, we've talked about this: less regulation, M&A environment, more IPOs, yield curve working to their benefit. All those things, throw them in the mixer, and that's why it's going up. On top of which, maybe some weakness in tech. money's finding its way into banks. All reasonable assertions, right?
Yeah.
Problem is, on some metrics, they've gotten pretty expensive. And JP Morgan is at the top of the list. Now, this is the KBW, the BKX, as they say. Theoretically, we should go blowing through that, right? We traded up, failed, came right back to it like a champ. So we get above 142, we should be off to the races. We'll see. But some of these individual names, in my opinion, and JP Morgan's at the top of the list, it's getting a little frothy here, Dan.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, but again, it's kind of held serve there. Let's rip through a few things because we got to get out of here really quickly.
I got to put that picture of me in the DeLorean. Jacob, throw that picture up.
Yeah.
Or man, look at that.
Look at that.
I had to butter my ass to get in that thing. I mean, it's just hard to get in these.
And
I mean,
now we can't get.
Why
that.
would you?
I
And
can't get
there's
that
another.
vi- I
There's
can't
another
get that
car.
visual.
Show the other one. Me standing next to it.
I can't get by that.
And you know what? The other thing about you could smell the gasoline. Like, who made this? John DeLorean.
So, by the way, we got to get out of here in 3 minutes. I just want to rip through this really quickly, guys. So, Eli Lilly reported this morning. Interesting breakout of this downtrend. It kind of held. It kind of held that support in and around just above $700. So interesting. I think a lot of folks thought that the excitement in and around this, GLP-1 trade was waning. Let's go to that 5-year really quickly. On the flip side of this, Novo Nordisk, their big competitor in this space, has had slightly disappointing sales on this front. And look at that downtrend. It's basically round trip the whole move if you want to back that out to a multi-year chart. And here we are, though. It just that gap level, interesting, guys. So it's held there. I see that gap. Check us out early next week because we're going to look at a call spread that maybe kind of tries to isolate a gap fill back towards that $104.5 level. That's kind of looking intriguing to me. I
agree. It makes a lot of sense. And, that moving average, which is obviously clearly going lower, that can continue to go lower with this thing bouncing to like 98 or so. So there's a trade here. Real quick, pull up that Eli Lilly chart. And we had highlighted by the other one. Yeah, those lows we traded down to in November. We traded back down, held. Now we're through this downtrend line. What's happening here, though, is we're filling the gap back from November. So if we were to fill this gap here, which it appears as though we're doing, and fail, that's no bueno, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I'm big level here. And again, on valuation, I think you made this point again and again. This is like an unholy valuation for a pharma stock that is actually, it's actually discounting a lot of like the future, like sales growth in the space. And it's not discounting a lot of the competition that could come. Last thing before we get out of here, Amazon reports after the close, plus or minus 6.5% move in either direction. Guy, this sets up so similarly to Google the other day on Tuesday.
Think about
trading at an all-time high.
Yes.
It just
think about what Google did. Think about what Microsoft did. Think about what Apple did. They all briefly rallied, and they all gave it back. Apple lasted, I don't know, a day-ish, not even.
A few hours, actually.
A few hours. Yeah. I mean, it traded lower in the aftermarket. Conference call, the stock went from 233 to 248. People started to look at the numbers. Stock traded down to 220-something. Microsoft, a beeline to 415, right? Google, we saw what happened. I'm of the belief that maybe get a knee-jerk higher in Amazon, but here's my problem, I think. You see a slowdown in cloud. That's what people are going to focus on. Margins better have improved to offset that slowdown. Otherwise, I think that's 6% to the downside. Yeah,
last thing I'll just say on that AWS, right? So we saw Google Cloud disappoint. We saw Microsoft Azure disappoint. I just don't understand, how these guys would be able to take some share back and accelerate growth. So over the last 2 years, one of the big stories about the stock has been like the market share that they've lost to Google and Microsoft and kind of that slowing growth, which actually got down to the low teens at one point, guys. So Google Cloud and Microsoft Azure, folks were disappointed that they grew 30% year over year. So this one will be interesting to me. I guess if there's any sort of surprise, it might be what the high margin advertising revenue looks like, or, some of the other like North American e-commerce and that sort of thing. So again, I'm not a buyer of this. I'd be shocked if you have a beat and raise to the point that could get the stock going meaningfully. Maybe you have the sort of move, like you just said in Apple, where the direction of some of this stuff looks optically pretty good, but at the at the core of it, I don't think this is a $2.5 trillion market cap company. It's going to take a lot to get this thing higher.
I know you're a Chiefs fan.
No, Oh, because of Kelsey, because I'm a Swiftie? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, although you did wear a Travis Kelsey jersey to a concert.
To a Taylor Swift concert. Can we get eyes on that? No, I don't think I put it out to the public, because that would have been kind of embarrassing.
But what do you mean? You did it in IRL?
I did it in real life. I did do it, but I didn't know anybody. It was at Wembley Stadium in London. You know what I mean? I didn't know anybody there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Who do you like this weekend?
I like the Eagles. I think Saquon, he didn't get that record in the last game of the season. I think he's going to be the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Wow,
I think the Eagles are going to win.
Bold call.
I don't think Jalen Hurts. You've said this. He looks a little hurt.
I love everything about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Guy does not change expression. He is a stone cold assassin.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
He's just like, he's all business. And he plays the game. I love the way he plays the game. Mahomes, on the other hand, no denying his talent. Let's just get it out there. Here's what my problem is. He's gaming the rule book. Now, he's starting to run. Looks like he's going to slide. Fakes people out. Doesn't slide. Defenders don't know what to do. I'm going out of bounds. I'm not going out of bounds. In the old days, people would blow his ass up. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, so he's gaming it out, and I have trouble with that. They got to change if you're a quarterback in the National Football League, okay, you want to be a pocket passer, that's fine. All the rules to protect them, but once you establish yourself as a runner, all rules apply. None of this sliding bullshit.
By the way, you know who is a pocket passer? Your main man, Eli Manning. You're a huge Giants fan, and he made one of the best plays in Super Bowl.
Which one do you think it was? I'm curious.
It's the freaking helmet catch.
No.
Oh, the way. Hold on. The way
Bill knows. Bill's shaking his head.
All right, so give it to me.
First of all, no. That was just like
for a guy
the ball downfield. The best throw I've ever seen. That was okay. I get it. They'll play it, I'm sure, on Sunday at some point. The helmet catch, David Tyree, blah, blah, blah. That man, when they're down on like their 10-yard line, and he throws that ball down the left sideline, about 45 yards downfield, was the best throw I've ever seen in an NFL football game. Unbelievable. There were two guys on Manningham. He got his it was the most unbelievable throw I've ever seen. So as bullshit as that Tyree catch was, and it was complete bullshit.
No,
that's Eli just
guys, hold on, guy. I didn't say the throw. I said his ability to make that.
He got out of it
for a pocket.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That was pretty amazing.
No, it was pretty amazing. I mean, today's NFL, they would have blow the whistle in the grass, blah blah blah.
So who do you think's going to win this game?
Eagles.
And what's the line? It's like
I think the Eagles are getting 1.5. Bill, you got the line because you're a gambler. 1.5. He nodded his head. I love the Eagles.
I haven't opened the DraftKings in like a month and a half. So
is that a website?
Maybe I'll dial that up.
No, I think I don't know what is it? What's this? What is it? 48? What's the over under? Bill's gonna look for me. Amanda's besides herself right now.
Well, we have Lori Calvasina could be waiting for us, which is not
she's coming at 2.
Cool. Oh, Amanda said, I thought she said she'll be here in 2, but she's going to be here at 2.
Oh, so words have meaning.
We have a
49.
What do you think?
It's amazing. Like, I didn't know that, by the way. It is pretty remarkable.
So do you think we're going to have a 27-24?
I think the Eagles are in the 30s. I'm not a huge fan of the Chiefs defense. I think the Chiefs defense can be exposed.
Can I ask you guys a question? What is this controversy, though? I know what you're saying about
controversy.
No, about Mahomes.
That's what the British say.
No, I know what you're saying about Mahomes.
Right.
Like, so he thinks the rules, blah blah blah. But there's a lot of conspiracy theories about the NFL. And,
the flags. I mean, they throw flags. It's bullshit.
Do you really think though?
I don't think. No, I don't think they're. If you watch a game.
Yeah.
And I think it was the Bills game. Like, are you effing kidding me?
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
That's
like, if you're a
the
Chiefs
internet.
fan, you got to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
If I were Mahomes, I'd say, you know what? Put the flag back. That's not a penalty. I'm not even kidding around. There was an NHL game a couple years ago. Bill might remember this. The official blew the whistle penalty. And the guy said, no, you know what? It's not a penalty. And they actually put the whistle. Stop it. And then the NHL, you don't have I'm dead serious. You know why? Because they respect the effing game.
Yeah.
That's why. NHL players respect the game. There's a respect.
Yeah.
Football guys, now they're gaming this shit out. People making business decisions. And Mahomes is, I'm going out of bounds. No, I'm not going out of bounds. and then go up to the box where Taylor Swift's hugging Kelsey's mother. Stop it. What's the over-under on how many effing times they show her face?
Do you think you bet on that?
100%. I guarantee there's a line.
Oh, that's interesting.
Guaranteed.
What do you think the over?
4.5.
And you're taking the over?
There'll be 4.5 before the effing coin toss. Who got the game this year? NBC? Who's got it?
No, it's not
Fox.
NBC. It's Fox. Yeah.
They can't help themselves.
So next
Let's
year,
go up to the. Oh, look at the box. Look at how happy she is.
Next year, it's in Vegas, guy.
What is
the Super Bowl?
It's just embarrassing. Like the league embarrasses themselves.
So, guy,
okay, I'm not interested in a wider net.
Guy,
I don't care.
What Super Bowl?
Oh, there's gonna be so many more fans watching the Super Bowl. If you're watching the Super Bowl because you're gonna get a glimpse of this woman in a friggin' box wearing a parka,
guy,
it's just dumb.
Guy, what?
Bill, tell me I'm wrong. What?
Which Super Bowl party are you going to? I just had to do it.
I mean,
I just had to do it. Why don't you have a rant about Super Bowl parties?
I'm having a big bash. All the guys are coming over, and I made a stadium, and I used cheese to make the outside of the stadium, and pepperoni is going to be the goalpost, and what much fun! And we're gonna have drinks, and we're gonna call them the Patrick Mahomes Tequila Sunday. Can't wait to see my bros. It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing.
So just for if you're playing our home game, which guy says,
and I'll wear my quarter vest
with
Morgan Stanley emblazoned on the lapel. Hey, do you see that big trade we did on Netflix the other day?
So
man, that was unbelievable.
Guy, the chat wants to know what's your preferred brewskis to serve at a Super Bowl party. Wait, so just to make this clear,
hey, you want to get 9 in before the big game?
Just to be clear,
yeah, my track is open.
If you guys haven't guessed this, Guy Adami is allergic to fun.
It's not true.
Yeah,
I'm having fun right now. Am I breaking out? No, there's certain things that drive me friggin' crazy.
All right, so wait, I think Jacob has a picture of Kelsey from this summer. That would be Travis Kelsey. That would be,
whoa. Now, first of all, that's Dan's daughter. She's beautiful. She's brilliant.
Yeah.
He has 2 of them.
Yeah.
That's Dan.
Yeah.
At Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
At a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah.
Wearing a Travis Kelsey jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have the other one there, Jacob?
That's disappointing.
What do you mean it's disappointing? You know how psyched Mike? Do you see Alex how she's dolled up and wearing sequins and stuff,
which is fine. So and you're playing the role of what exactly?
It was
just
a vibe.
Just as a backstory. That's his other daughter, Ellie.
Oh, that's Ellie.
Here's the backstory. Man, I'm sorry. We're sitting around in October of 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is 2 years ago.
Well, I don't know what you're going to say.
And you said to me, I got a Halloween party. What should I? And I'm like, go as Travis Kelsey. He's like, that's a great.
Oh, no, I said Sarah's going
as Taylor.
That's my wife.
Yeah. Go as Travis. Obvious.
Genius. That's where I bought that.
So you bought the jersey. Now you go to a Halloween party. That's you know what?
Oh, you like Halloween parties?
No,
but
of course
not. But
that's not my
parties?
point. That's not. I understand if you're required to wear a uniform or what do they call it, a costume. Yeah. Okay, that was clever. But then to pack the jersey in your luggage, to check it at Heathrow,
that's what I
to
do.
take. I mean that takes some huevos.
Yeah, dude.
Remember in Major League?
Yeah. But by the way, I love my daughters and they were super jazzed.
Absolutely.
And they were super jazzed up about it. So, if they told me, Dad, it's like pretty dorky,
Chat
I wouldn't have done it.
This is so good. Guys, Brewski. God, if I ever by the way, it might happen. Like I might get to an age where I start saying shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what the Eskimos do to their old people?
They kill them.
No, they don't kill them.
They put them out.
They put them. They have a big party. They throw them on an ice floe, and off they go.
They don't do that.
Bill,
why are you looking at Bill?
They do it. It's brilliant. You know what? I don't want to be a burden anymore.
All right,
put me on the effing flow and send me out.
And maybe the guys and the gals in the chat will. I would much rather die of heat than cold.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was like in Fiji, and let's say they do that, they leave you on a desert island without any trees or something like that. When you're old, I don't know, whatever.
Like
they leave you to die of heat exhaustion.
You'd rather
than freeze
rather
to
be
death.
heat.
I'd rather die of heat exhaustion.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
All right, what is and you guys could put this in the chat too. I'd be really interested. So, do you ever think about like what would be the worst way for you to die?
Drowning.
Interesting. Mine would be buried alive.
Like in Uma Thurman in Kill Bill.
Buried alive. I think my brain would get like just, it would just go.
You got to
nuts.
slow everything down. You got to calm it all down.
By the way, but I think it's nearly impossible. I think the way your body and your brain is built, you can only panic.
See, it's interesting. That's why when I red dog it on the planes, I've trained myself not to do that stuff. Like you can walk up.
I was on a plane with you the other day. You fell asleep within 2 minutes.
I fell asleep.
You're talking about red dogging.
But then I woke up. Did you see me with the TV in front of me?
I almost took him out. Your mouth was open like this.
Yeah. I'm tired, man.
Yeah.
No, but I've conditioned myself
to sleep on a plane.
No, to be like I'm impervious. I'm impervious to like.
Planes.
I slow everything down. I'm unratterable. No,
I don't know.
Uma Thurman, by the way, go back and watch Kill Bill.
Yeah,
she's in the coffin that she got. Remember?
Yeah.
And she punches her way out. Badass, because she slowed everything down.
But the idea of being in there was a movie. I think Ryan Reynolds was in it. I didn't watch it because, again, I have anxiety about this. I know it's very unlikely it's going to happen. I think he was in a coffin underground. David Blaine did that. Do you know that?
Kendrick Lamar. Who's Kendrick Lamar?
He's a singer.
Will he perform a Taylor Swift cover song?
Will he? Oh, at the halftime show.
Oh, he's the halftime act?
Yeah.
Do we like him? Amanda has to take a leak. So she says we have to.
Dude.
What? I'm just reading it right now. Let's wrap. I have to pee.
TMI.
All right, listen. I've enjoyed this. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Risk Reversal podcast drops tomorrow in your favorite podcast store. It'll be Lori Calvasina. We'll be back on Monday with the Risk Reversal podcast with Elizabeth Young Thomas. Then Monday at 1:00, the market call.
Yep.
By the way, next week, not to confuse you, I think Danny Moses might be doing the first rejiggered on the tape podcast, relaunch.
And he's going to have Vinny and Porter with him.
So that's exciting. So lots going on. A lot is going on here.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Thanks everybody for being here, putting up with us the whole nine. Good luck in Amazon. We'll see you later. Bye.